All right. It's October 26th of 2025. I'm Jay Essen, and we are concluding our tour of the currently available Castle Balderstone games today. Well, we're going to start that process. Unfortunately, the last of the games in the sequence is a little bit more involved than the others. Let's go ahead and pull that up. We have Even Some More Tales from Castle Balderstone. The games included with this are overall longer than the ones in the previous games. Additionally, I only played 2 of the 4 games. 4 here is in quotation marks because there might be a 5th game that I also have not played. And as we can see already, we're off to a much different start than we had been on our prior journeys. Even Some More Tales from Castle Balderstone. Good evening. My name is Ryan Veeder. You should open Rainy Mood in a separate tab. Once again, that is available at rainymood.com. Please go ahead and do so that you can provide your own soundtrack that is appropriately set volume-wise with respect to my voice. I'll leave that to you at your leisure. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and play without sound in my video. It is my great pleasure in this festive and frightening season to welcome you to Castle Balderstone, America's legendary hotbed of horror, a treasure trove of the morose, macabre, and monstrous. I have heard this speech before, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm on the edge of my seat. You're not in a seat yet. You are walking. If I seem to be pausing momentarily, it's because my second monitor has stopped working while plugged into this computer, and so I have to have both my OBS window and my game window in the same screen, and so I just have to switch back and forth between them to make sure everything looks good. So yeah, you're not in a seat yet. You are walking, with me, Ryan Veeder, through the halls of Castle Balderstone. The castle's crooked pinnacles slash blasphemously against ever-present clouds. Its grim silhouette is a stain of absolute blackness in the midst of a black sky. Each year, the greatest spookcrafters working in the English language assemble in Castle Balderstone's drafty halls to test their latest material on the only audience possessed of hearts so inured to terror as to withstand the absolute scariest stories: each other. Tonight, you are my +1 to this wedding of the weird and the wicked. I'm not scared yet. Let's get going. We're almost there. I just have a couple more paragraphs left. As we ascend the winding stairs of Castle Balderstone, the wind outside howls in warning, and the temperature drops until your teeth chatter in the cold. Or is it in anticipation of the horrors you are about to witness? We trudge through antique galleries, across musty hallways, and down forgotten corridors. The occasional window offers no view of friendly outside world, but only confirms what your aching legs and ragged breath have already predicted: that the labyrinthine architecture of Castle Balderstone is one you can never hope to escape. Nevertheless, we step on. Oh, heck. What's wrong? Well, 2021 is the bicentennial of Castle Balderstone, and they're doing this big deal of a thing with a whole different setup, so we're not convening in the same library we usually do. I forget where we're supposed to be. Are we lost? We are kind of lost. I still basically know where we are, and I have a vague idea of where we're supposed to be. There was a map on the invitation. We just have to trudge through a couple more antique galleries. Did you bring the invitation? No, I didn't bring the invitation. It's fine. It can't be too far. There's only so much castle in here. What's that over there? What are you talking about? Oh, that is the blood moon of Gascon. It looks like a ruby, right? But it's actually a red diamond, the rarest color of diamond. Melvin Balderstone bought it for his wife Catherine in 1788, before this castle was even built. Melvin's will forbade his heirs from having the gem's value assessed, but unofficial estimates range from $6 to $8 million. This is the first time it's been on display since Lindsay Hepworth Balderstone's funeral in 2004. How do you know all this stuff? I'm just reading the plaque on the other side of the display case. If this is being exhibited for the bicentennial, then the convocation must be somewhere nearby. I think I hear voices over there. Well, then lead the heck on, Macduff. I should explain something before we get there. Because there are so many people here for the bicentennial, we're not having just the one meeting where everyone presents their stories one after another. Instead, they're doing something called breakout rooms, where each presenting author has their own little area, and everyone else wanders from room to room, and supposedly this gives everyone a chance to enjoy every blood-curdling story. I don't know if it actually works, but that's how they're doing it. I can probably handle that. Where to first? And here we have options. We have Fiona Gryce's La Tavernilia, which is difficulty assessed as puzzlicious with length middling. We have Nivo the Dolphin. Difficulty is pretty easy and length is pretty short. We have Visit Skooga Lake, which is difficulty not so bad and length is huge. And finally we have Robert Silk's Singing for Me. Difficulty Harvest Moon, length 92 days. Of these games, I have played through the entirety of Nivo the Dolphin, but it's been quite a long time, and what I remember about this game is that it is navigationally challenging. The difficulty, pretty easy, kind of undersells how difficult it is to maintain a map of the space you have to navigate. Visit Skooga Lake, I have played most of... I have played a lot of it. I don't know that I finished it. La Tavernilia, I started but never got very far, and Singing for Me, I have not even started. This is the one I have absolutely no exposure to. So, between the three of these games, I have about 2 games worth of new experience ahead of me. So I definitely want to do one of these, and maybe finish today's session with Nivo the Dolphin, and then next week we'll do the other 2. So let's just go ahead and start with Fiona Gryce's La Tavernilia. Fiona Gryce is presenting her story in the Keeler Gallery, which I have actually visited before. It's where Augustina Keeler's painting The Red Bride hangs. I should be able to find it without much trouble. Hey, were you here with me in 2018? Yeah, that was me. Okay, so you know what Fiona Gryce is like. She was the lady who presented, I think the name of the story was Looking for Carolyn, about the lady whose friend was abducted by a giant baby. And she, Fiona, said it came to her in a dream. She said she didn't know what it meant, or it didn't mean anything. I think he said she was a mystical sort of person. No, I said that was the persona she puts on for public appearances. Behind the scenes, she's down to earth and normal. Or she used to be. More recently, she's been acting all spooky and theatrical, even at these authors-only events. I remember now. You said she might have been putting it on because I was there. Oh yeah, I did say that. Well, if that's the case, we won't get to see her normal side tonight. And I guess you never will, until you become a master of the horror genre like the rest of us. Hey, here we are, the Keeler Gallery. Let's go in, then. The Keeler Gallery, a jewel in the crown of Castle Balderstone. Randolph Balderstone was a patron of the painter Augustina Keeler, whose haunting canvases here surround us. There are those who say he was more than a patron, but the place for such gossip is surely beyond these rain-soaked halls. Keeler's incredible talent would have languished in obscurity if not for Randolph's generous support, and this hall would have stood forever empty, soulless, useless. Have I mentioned that I have a Patreon? Well, let's look at some of these paintings. We don't have time to look at all the paintings. We're here to hear Fiona's story. But you can't visit the Keeler Gallery without taking some time to admire The Red Bride. It is the centerpiece of Randolph's collection. Augustina Keeler herself is known to have said, "I may as well put down my paint, for the bride has said all that I care to say." What is she saying? What indeed? Look at the line of her cheek. Look at the thread woven between her fingers. See how her dress flows down the stairs and bleeds into the shadows. At the foot of the stairs, a cat licks its paw, a detail unmarked by many casual viewers. The door before her, we imagine, leads into the chapel where the marriage ceremony will take place, but the bride is distracted. She is staring at something behind us, with her lips slightly parted. I had a postcard of the red bride stuck to my mini-fridge in college. But what is she trying to say? Nobody knows for sure. Paintings can be very vague. What's Fiona Gryce doing? Oh, right. She is noticing us. Fiona Gryce's sea-gray gaze falls with a twinkle of restrained recognition upon me, and now upon you, and now across the gallery as the venerable authoress wonders whether there are enough people for her to begin reading her story. She might be waiting for us to sit down. Let's sit down. We take our seats on a pair of ancient wooden chairs near the back of the audience. Fiona steps up to her podium, and the low murmuring of the assembly decrescendos to silence. I thank the Balderstone Convocation for allowing me to present another chilling tale at this momentous bicentennial convocation, says Fiona Gryce. I hope my offering will be worthy of our distinguished conference and of the immortal Augustina Keeler, whose haunting canvases here surround us. In honor of her red bride, I have selected a similarly colorful story, which I call La Tavermilia. The word and the story, its sundry twists and turns, its intervals of dread and its pangs of shock, came to me in a dream. What, again? I cannot guess at what the story means, but I have placed my trust in the shadowed architect of the unconscious, as have all we horror authors. I am merely its conduit, or contractor, we might say. A polite chuckle ripples through the audience as Fiona opens her notebook and begins to read. Okay, so this may not be visible the way I have set up the window, so let me see if I can change the dimensions. I don't know that I can. Oh yeah, no, it worked. Okay, so let me go ahead and shrink it down long enough to show off. Here we have Fiona's portrait. About the author, Fiona Gryce grew up in Wyoming, where the nights are clear and full of stars. She is the author of 3 novels and 9 books of short stories, including Pale Fingers, for which she received the April Newton Award for Female Writers. She now lives in the forests of Maine, where clouds and dark trees keep the stars hidden away. So that's kind of cool. Looking at our cover art, this has something of a science fiction flair, and if we read, Ryan Veeder presents La Tavermilia, A Tale of the Far Future by Fiona Gryce. Release 1, serial number 240818, Inform 7 version 10.1.2, Vorpal version 3.2.5. Ocean. Blue skies, blue seas, no clouds, nor any land in sight. The ship rolls ever so gently on the surface of an infinite ocean. You could believe you were alone in the universe, if not for the stars fading into view as Ligeia's icy sun sets behind you. Let's see.
Build a website you love.
Well, this is awful.
Wix.
I forgot that there are advertisements on YouTube. Well, sure. Ligeia. You stretch out and close your eyes. The hull is hard, but it can't be uncomfortable. It belongs to you. Wherever you fly, you're at home. Maybe you'll fall asleep like this. But something buzzes inside the ship. Your eyes open. You scowl. There's a message for you. You grunt as you get to your feet. It wouldn't be much of a vacation if you actually got a minute to relax. Let's type about, since this is the first opportunity we have had to get the about text. La Tavermilia is Fiona Gryce's contribution to the 2021 proceedings at Castle Balderstone. Fiona is indebted to everyone who provided feedback on her story, including Benjamin Slade, Sarah Narbroso, Q Fever, Emily Bogheim, and Harkness Wolf. Inventory? You are carrying nothing. Examine me. You are a bounty hunter. A successful one. Success in bounty hunting is mostly about persistence, but being persistent doesn't do you any good unless you're lucky, too. Well, let's go in. You hop down through the hatch. Deck. On your old ship, there was barely room to move around. Every cubic foot was crammed with some equipment or instrument, each with a critical purpose. It seems bizarre to have a space like this with no function except to connect other spaces to each other, but you're starting to get used to it. Forward from here is the bridge. On the port side is your cabin, and on the starboard is the storage space you're supposed to call a cargo hold. The hatch leads up and out. The fridge is pressed against the rear bulkhead. Curious that it's capitalized like that. Let's examine the fridge. It's not exactly a cryostasis pod, but it does get pretty cold in there, and the person locked inside usually enters a mild coma. This model is roomier than most. Some clients get a weird kick out of believing your targets are being transported in relative comfort. Let's examine the hatch. The hatch in the ceiling is useful when you need to get on top of the ship. Let's go port to the cabin. There's plenty of space to spread out in here, but you're trying to keep it tidy. You keep your bed made, your books neatly arranged. The only thing on the bedside table is a little lamp that was there when you bought the ship. The longer you take to move in, the longer you can pretend you're waking up in a fancy hotel every morning. The rest of the ship is down the starboard hall. Let's go starboard. To the deck. A cool, salty breeze drifts through the hallway. Forward from here is the bridge. Port side is your cabin. Starboard is a cargo hold. Let's go starboard from here. To storage. Now that you've hit the big time, transporting mere cargo is beneath you. Nonetheless, it's important to have plenty of storage space, or so they kept saying at the dealership. The chamber is mostly empty. Your armor cabinet takes up one wall, your weapon rack is on the wall opposing, and in between is a long bench. The rest of the ship is down the port hallway. Let's check out that bench. The bench has a pearlescent sort of sheen, and soothing rounded corners. It looks like it belongs in a spa. We should examine the armor cabinet. It's a wall-length wardrobe sort of thing. The cabinet is closed. Can we open it? You pull on the door and it rolls up, revealing your cold-resistant gear, your battle armor, your diving gear, your dark energy suit, and a radar scanner. Let's close it again. Let's examine the rack. Toy chest, the dealer called it. It's funny how one person's luxury is another person's vocational necessity. Which is not to say that a high-end weapon rack like this is absolutely necessary for your work. It's nice to have, though. On the weapon rack are your Entangler, your Glaciator, your Nonplusser, and your JWL 910. I guess we could examine all these gear. The Entangler? A gentle weapon for delicate targets. The Entangler fires a wad of carbon nanotubes that unravel themselves on contact and wrap around the target like a big black spiderweb. Reloading it is expensive. Let's examine the Glaciator. They keep saying the Glaciator isn't a freeze ray, technically. A freeze ray is physically impossible. In non-technical terms, then, the Glaciator is a freeze ray. You point it at a guy, you pull the trigger, the guy freezes. Let's examine the Nonplusser. The Nonplusser operates by overloading the target's synapses. Extremely strong-willed subjects can overcome its effects, and particularly dim subjects can take a very long time to recover. In certain cases, though, it's the perfect tool for the job. And lastly, we should examine the JWL 910. This modified JWL 910 was your first pulse rifle. You added the backlash dampener yourself when you were laying low for a while and had some spare time. The weapon is hopelessly out of date and far too lethal for the sorts of contracts you usually work these days, but you can't bring yourself to get rid of it. Let's open the cabinet. Examine the cold-resistant gear. A suit designed to keep you from freezing to death in frigid conditions. It's completely white for camouflage purposes, although you've learned that not all cold places are also white. And the battle armor. This outfit is purported to be especially resistant to all sorts of weaponry. You have your doubts. The guy who sold it to you was pretty fast and loose with the word concussive, and after you asked 2 or 3 questions, he started saying, heck, maybe you should be selling these things. Let's examine the diving gear. This suit has all sorts of bladders and propellers to help you move underwater. You were going to take it for a spin here once you got tired of lying motionless on the hull, but now you've got a job to do. Dark energy suit. This armor is supposedly infused with dark energy. The specific quantum or cosmological significance of this claim is over your head, but it looked cool, and the guy said he was giving you a great deal. And let's examine the radar scanner. A cheap but serviceable scanner that slips over your arm. It's turned off. Let's go port and forward to the bridge. A ring of instruments and monitors surrounds the pilot's seat and its console. Your desk has the best view on the ship. Through the bulbous canopy, you can see the darkening sky and its ocean of stars. The rest of the ship is down the aft hallway. The console buzzes insistently. I'll examine the console. You crane over your chair to check the console. You have one unread message. The autopilot is set to coordinate 10503. I sit. You take a seat in your favorite chair. Read message. It's a government job. They never give you a price up front, but they always pay well. An apparently unaffiliated hacker has compromised multiple financial systems across the isolated worlds. She uses the alias La Tavermilia. Well, that's in pretty poor taste. Cessation of disruptive behavior is your top priority. That means that the suspect's right to a trial is not a priority. Target's last known position is coordinate 61145. Apprehend or neutralize the target by any means necessary. Urgent. They don't usually tack on urgent at the end like that. Reply to message? Nope. Let's go ahead and set autopilot to 61145. You dial 61145 on the autopilot. The Prospero struggles a bit to get moving. You can feel the ocean's suction holding you in place. Then you break free from the water and from Legaia's atmosphere, and you're in space. The navigation system chirps to indicate that you're about to jump. Suddenly, you're floating above a planet covered in purple clouds. The computer says this is Xanti. Tempestuous, unfriendly, uninhabited. But some unusual ionization indicates the recent presence of a craft on one of its mountains, so you might as well park there. You fly down into the clouds, dodge a few bolts of lightning, and settle the Prospero on a cliff. Let's stand. Let's go aft. Let's go starboard. Look in cabinet. Wear battle armor. You pull the heavy battle armor out of the cabinet and lay it down on the bench. You sit down next to it. You take a deep breath. Then, piece by piece, you put it on. Greaves, cuirass, pauldrons, gauntlets, helm. Exhausting. Fortunately, it's all a lot lighter when you're wearing it. When you stand up, you barely feel a thing. Still, though. Take radar scanner. Let's look back at our message briefly. This is a hacker that was responsible for the situation. Let's examine the rack. Let's take the nonplusser to start with, I guess. Or do we take all? Okay, so it's going to be a one or the other sort of thing. Let's put Entangler on rack. Let's take the nonplusser to see if perhaps this is the ideal weapon in this scenario. Let's examine the scanner. Turn scanner on. You switch it on. The scanner is picking up a bunch of signals. Various components communicating silently with one another, keeping everything running smoothly. With so much noise, it's impossible to detect any signals originating outside the ship. Now we go port, and we go up to the cliff. Purple lightning arcs between the roiling clouds, and the glassy mountains glitter in response. Your ship only barely fits on this little ledge, too close to the clouds for comfort. On one side is a shimmering stone face too steep and slippery to ascend. On the other is a rocky declination that looks navigable, if somewhat deadly. I have not played this game at all, it turns out. This is completely new to me. I have no recollection of any of this. Let's examine the scanner. The storm is really doing a number on the scanner. The screen is lit up with all sorts of random signals. Well, we'll go down. You take a deep breath and begin your climb down. Rocks. Slowly, carefully, you come to a stop. The slope continues at an angle too steep to contemplate, but there's a cleft here in the rock, the mouth of a cave. We examine the clouds. Mineral storms envelop the planet Xanti at all times, precluding any cultivation or habitation or anything like that. We examine the mountains. The mountains are mostly made out of volcanic glass. Geologists find this fascinating, but not fascinating enough to come investigate in person. Enter cave. Cave. Lanterns taped to the wall light themselves up as you enter. There's a cozy little setup in here. A plush rug rolled out in front of a foldable desk, a little suitcase for snacks, and a high-power transmitter, something every hacker needs. An etched panel sits on the desk. Let's examine the panel. A cheap piece of printable metal. The letters read, "Come and follow. Our dance can't be danced solo. Understand, hunter, not a drop will you spill of my blood, though you chase me across the stars." If La Tavermilia wants you to follow her, she must have embedded her current position in this note somehow. I examine scanner. The scanner doesn't detect anything. The transmitter must be inactive. Let's examine the transmitter. A hexagonal antiprism, taller than you. Lightweight, but really awkwardly shaped. Turn transmitter on. It isn't something you can switch. Let's examine the desk. Lots of space, and collapsible, and kind of chintzy looking. Examine suitcase. You're guessing it's for snacks based on what you know about hackers. Open it. It's already open. Look in it. The suitcase is empty. Look. Let's check out the rug. The rug has struts built into each corner to keep it level above the cave floor. A classic piece of kit. Interesting. Okay. Scan panel. Nope. Take panel. Taken. Examine panel again. It's just a cheap piece of printable metal. Okay. Well. What if we take all? There are none at all available. Look, take desk. A cheap desk like this wouldn't go with the decor on your new ship. In your old ship, you didn't have space for anything, and you didn't have any leftover cash for organizational materials, and you would have grabbed this desk in an instant. Take suitcase. You can easily afford a much nicer snack suitcase. No need to scavenge this one. Take transmitter. You probably could drag this transmitter back to the ship if you needed to, but you really don't want to. Take rug. You don't need a camping rug. Oh, okay, we go back out then. Rocks. You stand at the cave mouth. Above you is the slope, the cliff where your ship is parked, the mountain peak, the sky full of purple lightning. I examine the lightning. The glass-like minerals suffusing Xanti's crust also exist as microscopic particles in the atmosphere, rubbing against each other and forming immense static charges. The lightning never stops. peak. This mountain stands out as the host to the only halfway viable landing site for miles around. In all other ways, it is functionally identical to its neighbors. Let's go back up to the cliff. Purple lightning arcs between the roiling clouds, and the glassy mountains glitter in response. Let's enter ship. Deck. Wind from outside fills the corridors with a prickly sort of potential. Forward from here is the bridge. On the port side is your cabin, and on the starboard is the cargo hold. The gangway is open, leading down to the planet's surface. Can we go forward? We can. Count. Come and follow, our dance can't be danced solo. Understand, Hunter, not a drop will you spill of my blood, though you chase me across the stars. So we'll come and follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. I feel like there's something wrong. I shouldn't just be counting all of the letters in this text. I feel like each line, because our autopilot coordinates are 5 digits. Count. Come and follow. C 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So maybe 3. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Set autopilot 2. You dial 34690 on the autopilot. You rise slowly into the clouds. The ship shudders, lurches, normal turbulence, nothing to worry about. Now you're above the clouds, among the stars. The navigation system expertly folds the universe over itself. Space unfolds and a planet rises in front of you. Blue oceans, glowing cities. Then flashing lights and shrieking klaxons fill the bridge. Biohazard. The voice is automated. This planet is under quarantine. Leave immediately. Landing by isolated worlds crafts is forbidden. La Tavermilia isn't here. That is, the disease is here, but the hacker isn't. Landing on this planet would be inviting almost certain and incredibly painful death. You must have taken a wrong turn. Perhaps it's the words. Come and follow us 3. Set autopilot 2. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 34690, actually 36297. The ship rotates slightly and then you jump. You arrive at an irregular hunk of rock dotted with green habitation domes. You must have interpreted her message correctly, but that confirms this is another one of those riddle-oriented criminals, which isn't exactly good news. Someone down there hails you. Welcome to Aegeus. State your business, please. My business is classified. You transmit your credentials, and the guard grunts his acceptance. I need to talk to someone about a possible data security breach, you tell him. I know just the guy. Let me give you his address. You pull into one of the domes. The guy at the gate needs to see your credentials too. Then you can fly in. The address is for the planet's communications hub. The Prospero alights gently on the building's landing pad, and its engines power down. Let's go aft and up. Landing pad. Green light filters through the habitation dome, lending a sickly cast to the buildings, the streets, the Prospero's hull, your skin. Below you is the roof of the communications hub, accessible via a rickety ladder. The ladder rattles violently as you descend, but it doesn't fall to pieces. Roof. The roof of the communications hub is a grimy slab of concrete covered in a spider web of mottled lichen. A hemi-cylindrical sort of tunnel leads inside. Your ship is on the landing pad at the top of that ladder. Let's go in. Airlock. An odd antechamber separates the offices of the communications hub from the outside world. A microphone and a camera lens are built into the wall by the door. Talk to microphone. You lead down to the mic. Hey, you say. No response. Examine camera. A black electronic eye protrudes from the wall. Tap on mic. Nope. Examine microphone. Just a speaker in the wall. No call button. Talk to camera. Talk to mic. Still no response. Look. Examine the door. A sturdy utilitarian door. Open door. You approach the door. Suddenly, the exit seal's behind you. The microphone activates. Bounty hunter I've been expecting? A voice hisses. Stand in front of the camera. You hit your mark and stare into the lens. Just a quick antiseptic pass so you can come in safely, the voice explains, as clouds of yellowish vapor fill the airlock. While we're waiting, how about a smile? What? Smile, the voice insists. It's good for you. You bare your teeth for the camera. A low groan comes over the speaker before it cuts out. Then the gas dissipates. Then the door opens. You hurry inside. Office. A stubbly little man is waiting inside, not to welcome his guest, but to make sure the door closes securely behind you. Then he turns to look you over. Bounty hunting. Fascinating. I'm fascinated by everything I know nothing about. A finite resource. Do you have time to stop and chat? I'm in a hurry. I need to inspect your servers. Ah, very understandable. You'll find those downstairs, through that door, he says. But he doesn't give up. I imagine a bounty hunter sees much of the universe. Many interesting planets, many interesting people. That's right, you tell him. The operator's station is a messy desk beneath a wall of monitors. The operator is ignoring them. He's looking up at you. I'll examine the... Oh, not the station. Let's examine monitors. Maybe 20 different video feeds. You recognize one as a view of the airlock outside. The others... The operator taps something and all the screens go blank. He flashes an unconvincing grin. We'll examine the operator. He hasn't shaved in a week, but his clothes are clean and crisp. He keeps glancing at your mouth. Let's look. Let's examine the desk. The desk is covered in documents, reference books, and a few tools you dimly recognize. You assume they have something to do with communications, in reference to the documents. Let's examine the books. The thick volumes might be law books. Tools? You've seen these instruments before somewhere. A dentist's office. Can we go down? Stairs. You peer down between the flights of stairs. They go on for a long time. Something is behind you. You lurch forward and almost fall down the middle of the staircase. The operator doesn't seem to notice he's nearly killed you. What do you know about Leta Vermilia? He asks. You blink. How does he know about your contract? No, he means the plague. I know what everyone else knows. You begin walking down the stairs. He follows you. Have you had occasion to pursue your bounties beyond the isolated worlds? I couldn't if I wanted to. Fortunately, my targets are usually too smart to break the quarantine. Target. The lingo of the trade. Delightful. I understand that Latavermilia's effects are profoundly grotesque. In most cases, before it's even detected, the mucous membranes. Sounds like we both know what everyone else knows. Indeed, I had hoped that an individual of your experience. You sigh. There are a lot of stairs left. We continue down. The operator follows, relating everything he's learned about the plague, all its stages, all its strains. You grit your teeth, uttering interested-sounding grunts when you think it'll speed things along. Bottom of the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs is an unmarked door. Query, are the planets outside the isolated world subject to any government? You have no idea. Not the government of the isolated worlds. The operator clicks his tongue against his teeth as he thinks. Click, 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 click. Sans outside support, sans any cure for the plague, it seems as though these worlds would soon arrive at such a state as would render support or cure superfluous. He snorts. And yet, such is not the case. Click, click. You've got a point. Open door. The operator dashes between you and the door. Let me get that for you. He opens it, gestures for you to enter, and follows you in. Server room. Hot in here. There might be 40 computer towers in here, and barely enough room to walk between them. Green indicator lights are everywhere, flickering fitfully. A pedestal in the center of the room displays the data lattice. The operator stands between you and the door. We examine the data lattice. A three-dimensional fractal is the most efficient interface for communications records, or so they say. In your experience, extracting any useful data from one of these things is like pulling teeth. You glance at the operator, then back down at the lattice. Fortunately, Latavermilia wants to be found. Some of these records have been tampered with, you observe. That's impossible, says the operator. Impossible or not, you can see 5 records, more or less in a row, with data missing. She didn't do much to cover her tracks. You're pretty sure you know how to activate records like these. Activate first record. You pull up the first corrupted record and activate playback. But we'll leave soon, right? It'll be a little longer than we planned. These security breaches are making everybody suspicious. I can't make a move until things have calmed down. Someone sniffles. Oh, darling, being apart from you. The choked voice is interrupted by static. Half a second of data is missing. I do too, precious. But if we aren't careful, we risk throwing it all away. The voice doesn't respond. The recording ends. Going to guess that's the word hate? Activate second record. You play the second corrupted record. I looked in the suitcase. A pause, then... I can explain. That's a lot of money to be taking to an archaeology site. It's not what you think. That money is... blank my sister. Or... A flash of static interrupts the explanation. Your sister. Your sister is inside the quarantine. How do you propose to get it to her? I have a plan. The recording ends. Activate third record. You play the third corrupted record. Check the door again. You already checked the door. We're done here. Will you check the door, please? A chuckle. Your problem is that you're too cautious. Wait, are these homophones? 8, 4, 2. Well, your problem is, I know what my problem is. My problem is I don't have any problems. That's not a problem. Call it a burden, then. The recording ends. Activate fourth record. You play the fourth corrupted record. Where were you last night? I had to stay in. My head was killing me. Stay in and you risk missing out, the voice chuckles. Kitty brought some feel-goods and we all went dancing. She probably could have given you something for your head. All right. I owe you one dance, okay? Tomorrow night. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm trying to think if this is matching the pattern. Because I would interpret this as like promise you one dance, but the fact that it's just I and not like I will or I'll. I'm going to say it's O. Activate 5th record. You play the 5th corrupted record. This isn't your car. Sure it is. Get in. Where'd you get it? Static interrupts the answer. I won it in a card game. You weren't playing with Rod, were you? There's a long pause. Then the recording ends. Okay, we've got 8, 4, 2, 0, 1. Let's just think. I 1 you one dance, I 2 you one dance, I 3 you one dance, I 4 you one dance, I 5 you one dance, I 6 you one dance, I 7 you one dance, I 8 you one dance, I 9 you one dance, I owe you one dance is the best candidate. So 8, 4, 2, 0, 1. Look. Talk to operator. What is your job exactly? Vestigial. Ceremonial. I am assistant to the communications grid of Aegeus, a system quite capable of assisting itself. Until such duties as require biological intervention arise, I delight myself in pursuing my hobbies. He looks up at you hopefully, but you decide not to ask. Out. Bottom of the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs is an unmarked door. Now you notice the dead roach on the floor. Curled up on its back like a rice bowl. The operator follows your gaze and recoils, then stares up at the ceiling. I'll have to call someone to have that removed. Up. Many tall flights of stairs separate the server bank from the operator's office. The operator stays close behind. Up. Office. The operator's station is a messy desk beneath a wall of monitors. The operator is ignoring them. He's looking up at you. Out. I see duty calls, the operator says as you approach the exit. Drop by again any time. The pleasure of your company has been exquisite. Thanks. You open the door. Airlock. An odd antechamber separates the offices of the communications hub from the outside world. A microphone and a camera lens are built into the wall by the door. Out. To the roof. The roof of the communications hub is a grimy slab of concrete covered in a spiderweb of mottled lichen. A hemi-cylindrical sort of tunnel leads inside. Your ship is on the landing pad at the top of that ladder. You go up to the... You grab the ladder. It shudders uncertainly in your grip. You carefully make your way up. Landing pad. Green light filters through the habitation dome, lending a sickly cast to the buildings, the street, the Prospero's Hall, your skin. Below you is the roof of the communications hub, accessible via a rickety ladder. In. It's the deck. Let's go forward. And that was set autopilot to 84201. You dial 84201 on the autopilot. Then you take the wheel. You have to pilot yourself out of the dome by hand. The guy at the gate waves you along impatiently. That's fine. You've got work to do. Once you're in open space, you let the autopilot take over. The space folding process begins. For an instant, you are nowhere. A planet pops into view. Arid, xanthous, streaked with the colors of dead leaves. A transmission reaches you from the surface. Hunter. You pound the signal tracer with one hand and reach for the microphone with the other. Latavernmilia, transmit me your position immediately. I am authorized to use deadly force if you resist. Did you say Latavernmilia? Another transmission. It's a scientist calling you from a satellite. Are you violating the quarantine? If you've been exposed to the plague, I have to report you. No, totally unrelated. I need to find someone on the surface. The scientist chuckles grimly. You picked a terrible time for it, she says. Unamonos here has a planet-wide dust storm going. This one started a week ago. They usually last a few months. The tracer finishes triangulating the approximate origin of the transmission. I can't wait a few months, you say, taking the Prospero down. The scientist's response is garbled as you descend into the clouds. Soon you land heavily in the middle of the storm. Examining me, you're a bounty hunter, a successful one. Success in bounty hunting is mostly about persistence. Yeah, okay. I am wearing my battle armor. I have my radar scanner and my nonplusser. And I have the etched panel. Look, we're on the bridge. Let's go aft. It's already getting dusty in here. Forward from here is the bridge, on the port side is your cabin, and on the starboard is the cargo hold. The gangway is open, leading down to the planet's surface. Let's go up. To Unamonos. Orange dust fills the air, limiting your vision to a few meters. For all you know, the desert goes on forever in every direction. But that signal must have come from somewhere around here. Examine the scanner. You're picking up 5 signals. 1 to the northeast, 1 to the southeast, 1 to the south, 1 to the southwest, and 1 to the west. Hopefully one of them is La Tavermilia's position. Your ship is right here. I'm going to start to the northeast. You take a few steps into the storm. The swirling dust forms weird patterns on the desert floor. I'm repositioning because my cat wants to get on top of me. Okay, here we go, Goosey. All right, let's examine the scanner again. Let's continue to the northeast. You go on walking. The wind howls. You keep walking through the dust. An eddy of swirling dust kicks up and quickly dissolves. Shadows in the swirling dust take on the forms of figures walking toward you or away, but they disappear. A gust of wind almost knocks you off your feet. Okay, you're picking up 5 signals. 2 to the south, 2 to the southwest, and 1 to the west. Your ship is somewhere southwest from here. So we clearly need to be using our scanner to reposition. You blink and get your bearings. Keep walking. You grit your teeth against the storm. You're picking up 5 signals, 2 to the south and 3 to the west. Your ship is somewhere west from here. We keep going south. One to the south, 1 to the southwest, 2 to the west, and 1 to the northwest. South. Let's just go south. Now let's examine the scanner. 2 to the southwest, 2 to the west, and 1 to the northwest. Let's go south. One to the north, 2 to the southwest, and 2 to the west. What? I forgot I could just push up. That's handy. 2 to the southwest, 2 to the west, and 1 to the northwest. One to the north, 1 to the south, 1 to the southwest, and 2 to the west. You keep walking through the dust. A whirling cloud of dust blows through you, dissipating into the storm. There's a transmitter beacon sticking out of the ground here. This is the source of the signal. Maybe it was set up as a decoy. Now that you're right next to the transmitter, though, your scanner can actually interpret the faint message it's broadcasting. Hunter, Coordinate 6 enough. What? It sounds like the mocking voice you heard when you were approaching the planet. Can I take the beacon? You yank on the beacon, to no avail. It's stuck in there. Okay, well, let's go southwest then. One to the north, one to the northeast, one to the southwest, one to the west, and one to the northwest. Go southwest. 5 signals. 1 to the north, 1 to the northeast, 2 to the west, and 1 to the northwest. You go on walking, you blink and get your bearings. There's a transmitter beacon sticking out of the ground here. Oh boy. Okay, we need the we need to make notes. So let me copy some information down. We've got Hunter coordinate 6 enough. Now we've got don't next 9 you'll. Examine scanner. 2 to the north, 1 to the northeast, 1 to the northwest, and 1 right here. Go northwest. Two to the north, 1 to the east, 1 to the southeast, and 1 to the west. This beacon says up heading 7 me. Scanner. 2 to the north, 1 to the east, 1 to the southeast, and 1 right here. We're going to go north now. One to the northeast, 1 to the east, 1 to the southeast, 1 to the south, and 1 to the northwest. One to the north, 2 to the east, 1 to the southeast, 1 to the south. Beacon. Yet to forsoon. Okay. 2 to the east, 2 to the south, and 1 right here. One to the east, 1 to the southeast. One to the east, 1 to the southeast, 2 to the south, and 1 to the west. 1 to the northeast, 1 to the southeast, 2 to the south, and 1 to the west. 1 to the east, 3 to the south, and 1 to the west. Give, I'm 3, catch. Okay, so if I have got this right, I think I have this in order. Okay. Okay, let's Do it like this. Don't give up yet, Hunter. Next time heading to coordinate 93746, you'll catch me soon enough. 93746. Okay. Let's examine the scanner. Ship is somewhere southwest from here. Ship is somewhere southwest. Southwest. East. Oh, here's the ship. At least your ship is fairly easy to notice as long as you're nearby. Interesting. The ship had been southwest and then suddenly it was east. So there's some weird geometry going on with the navigation here. I would love to see the inform map of this particular quadrant, like grid of areas. I imagine this would be fascinating. Hey, fortunately, I just remembered Ryan has made the source code for a lot of his games available to members of Patreon, which means I can feed that set of rooms into Inform to have it generate a map for me, or I could actually just like use the code to build it in Trizport. So that's something I might amuse myself with later. But for now, let's go in to the deck. It's already getting dusty in here. Let's go forward. Let's set 93746. You dial 93746 on the autopilot. You put a hand on the wheel just to be safe. The ship rises out of the dust into space. The autopilot performs its calculations, and you jump. You recognize your destination immediately. Valdemar. The computer begins searching for signs of recent activity. Valdemar is the only planet known to have yielded any evidence of intelligent alien life. Its inhabitants excavated labyrinthine underground cities, erected impossibly tall obelisks that reach above the clouds, and then they disappeared. The entire planet is an archaeological site, one of the most zealously protected pieces of cultural heritage in the isolated worlds, even if it's not their own heritage they're protecting. The computer picks up an ion trace, hazy but useful. You fly down between a few of the inscrutable obelisks, down into the clouds. You land in the middle of a blizzard. We go aft. We go starboard. Remove battle armor. You take a seat on the bench. Again, this time in reverse. Helm, gauntlets, pauldrons, cuirass, greaves. So many pieces, and they all get heavier once they're not connected to your body. Each piece goes back in the cabinet, and then, at last, you're done. Look in cabinet. Wear cold-resistant gear. I suppose I could have tried going out without it to see what would happen, but oh well. You remove the cold-resistant gear from the cabinet and steel yourself once again. A few moments later, you're wearing the cold-resistant gear and a little out of breath. Let's go port. Up to the landing site. White fields of ice surround the ship, stretching out in all directions, disappearing into the falling snow. Obvious paths lead north, east, south, and west. The wind feels like it's about to slice right through your suit. Let's examine our scanner. The scanner isn't picking up anything. Let's go east to crystals. Crystal shards the size of houses litter the slopes of the mountains to the east. They don't look like ice crystals. You can make out paths to the northwest, west, and south. The crystals are artificial, this much is certain. Archaeologists have reached no consensus as to their purpose. It seems likely that they were originally installed somewhere higher up on the mountain, were dislodged somehow, and fell here where they shattered to pieces. Let's go south now, to obelisk. An impossibly tall obelisk stands at the foot of the mountain. Paths to the north, west, and south lead across the icy fields, and you can make out a way up the mountain to the east. East to crag. From this perilous outcropping, paths to the north and south lead further up the mountain. The way down to the west looks significantly safer. We'll go north to narrow passage. A claustrophobic fissure in the icy rock, the aftermath of some impossibly ancient geological catastrophe. You can see a few ways out: north, south, northwest. Examine scanner, not picking up anything. Let's go north again. To crater. The snow has been blown out in a circle around a conspicuous patch of refrozen ice. A ship took off from here. You must have just missed her. There are faint paths to the north, south, and west, but no sign of anyone's passage but your own. North again to Glacial Wall. A huge wall of ice prevents any further progress up the mountain, but there are paths leading south and west. West to the ice tunnel. Slippery tunnels offer minimal shelter from the wind. At this fork, passages lead east, south, and west. Go south to the obelisk, a ledge in the side of the ice-covered mountain. You could probably see your ship from here if it weren't for all the snow. Paths from the north, east, and southeast converge at the base of a gigantic obelisk. Southeast to the narrow passage, south to the crag, south to the cliff. You continue your ascent until at last you emerge above the clouds. Cliff. No snow up here, but the wind is even worse. The blizzard is beneath you, a field of roiling white. 5 obelisks pierce the clouds, outpacing the mountains to graze their points against the sky. There's an etched tablet lying here. Take tablet, examine it. It says, "Enjoy the view." Examine obelisks. From here, you can see 5 obelisks. 4 point straight up, but the one in the middle is leaning noticeably to your right. The leftmost pillar has a dark line running down its length, a fracture of some kind. Examine the leftmost pillar. Middle pillar. Nope. Okay, well. Alright. Look. Let's go down to the crag, west to the obelisk. Examine obelisk. Oh boy. A fringe theory contends that the natives of Valdemar did not succumb to disease, but voluntarily abandoned their planet and found a new home. The most obvious evidence against this notion is the fact that obelisks like these have never been discovered on any other worlds. The number 3 is scrawled on one of the pillar's faces at eye level. Okay, we've got a 3. Let's go back to the east and to the south. Nope, north to the crag, north to the narrow passage, southwest to... No, excuse me, northwest to the obelisk. An enormous pillar of cut stone. Someone has daubed the number 2 on the side in dark red paint. Okay. North to the icy tunnel. At this fork, passages lead east, south, and west. Let's go west to the incline. Comparatively safe path leads east up into the mountain, or south down to the snowfields. South to the snowfield. Nothing but treacherous ice and biting wind. A vague mountain lurks within the shadows to the northeast. You could head north, or northwest, or west, or southeast, or south. You're pretty sure the ship is south. Let's go northwest to the labyrinth. A spiral pattern of raised earth is barely visible beneath the drifting snow. The only way back is southeast. Pattern? Some archaeologists hypothesize that the native species walked through these mazes as a form of meditation. Others posit that some sort of information is encoded in the labyrinth's forks and dead ends. Most archaeologists acknowledge that these are desperate guesses. Let's go west instead, to Gateway. To the west, the earth descends toward a massive stone archway. Vague paths lead south and east to the snow. West to the plaza, a broad open area surrounded by columns of gray stone. The cave ceiling is so high as to disappear in the darkness. You could almost be standing outdoors in the dead of night. Tall tunnels lead north, east, and south. We go north to the crypt. The passage ends here, where a giant slab of black rock lies half sunken in the floor. The way back is south. I examine the rock. The gleaming black stone is cut at exact angles to match the cavity cut into the cave floor. There's no gap between them. You can't guess how much of the tablet is hidden below the surface. Looking closer, you see white striations through the marble. Millions of imperfections, too small to be noticed by one attempting to take in the entire object. Back south. Oh, excuse me, to the plaza. Let's go south again. To the statuary hall. This long passage runs north and south past rows of stone plinths, each supporting a massive pile of rubble. Well, let's examine the rubble. Archaeologists frequently discover what they tentatively assume to be works of sculpture in the ruins of Valdemar. In every known case, the statues, if they were statues, have been ground into featureless gravel. Curious. We go south again to the obelisk, the base of one of the city's obelisks. Tunnels lead north, east, and south. Let's examine this one. The stone tower rises up into the darkness of the cave ceiling. Very likely it extends up out of the cave into the blizzard above. Red paint has been daubed on the obelisk at eye level, the number 1. 1, 2, 3 so far. We go south again to the passage. The tunnels turn from north to east here. The stonework to the east is rougher than what you've seen elsewhere in the city. Dead end. Nothing here but a slimy puddle stretching over the rock. The way back is west. Oh, so, okay. We've got... This was 1, 2, and 3. Go west to the passage, north to the obelisk, east to the avenue. This tunnel turns slowly from the west to the southeast. On the outside of the curve, smaller chambers have been carved into the rock. Chambers. The apartments, or whatever they are each the size of a decent starship hangar. All of them are empty. Southeast to an obelisk. A gray obelisk stands in the center of an impossibly large cathedral of carved stone. A current of bitter wind enters through the archway to the north, swirls around the immense girth of the obelisk, and continues through the tunnels to the northwest. I examine the obelisk. There's a massive fissure in this pentagonal pillar, a crack that runs all the way up the obelisk to the cave's distant ceiling. Doubtless it extends even higher, piercing the mountains overhead, terminating among or above the clouds. The number 4 has been smeared in red paint on the obelisk in a spot where the vandal was sure you would see it. North. To the southern gateway. Faint paths from the north, northwest, and east meet here, in the shadow of a gigantic stone archway. Beyond the archway, to the south, is one of Valdemar's underground cities. Northwest is an obelisk. A giant pillar of stone rises out of the earth here. Sort of path turns from the north to the southeast. The ship should be just east of here. Examine obelisk. This has the number 6. The dark stone stretches high into the storm, but not straight up. It's leaning noticeably toward the northeast. The number 6 is painted in red on the side. Vandalizing an archaeological site like this is punishable by death. So this one is 6. Go east is the ship. South is, okay, the southern gateway. East to the crystals. South then examine obelisk. This one is 3. Okay, so I think it's 14632 based on the site we saw earlier. North. West. In. Forward. Let us enter 14632. Set autopilot to 14632. You dial 14632 on the autopilot. You pull the Prospero up carefully through the blizzard. The ship shakes like it's going to fall apart, but you order it to hold together. Then you're out of the clouds, climbing up between the obelisks. And then you leave even there and possible spies behind you as you send into the stars. The autopilot processes your request and begins the jump. You arrive at nowhere in particular. The navigation system confirms these are the depths of space. There's nothing to land on, no one to talk to. You're alone. Your target is almost certainly somewhere else. Okay, well, in that case, let's try instead 16432. Set autopilot to 16432. Nope. Set autopilot to 14623. Set autopilot to 16423. Set autopilot to 12346. Okay, clearly I'm not getting something here. What if it's backwards? We never got to the northwest. But maybe we go back and figure out what we're missing. Set autopilot to Valdemar appears before you. You bring the ship down between the obelisks through the clouds down to the surface. Aft, up. Let's go north. Northwest? Southeast. North. To the incline. Nope, it just goes back up east into the mountains. East again to the glacial wall. South to the crater. South to the narrow passage. South to the crag. And south to the cliff. Examine obelisks. The leftmost pillar has a dark line running down its length, a fracture of some kind. Okay, 4 points straight up. The one in the middle is leaning noticeably to my right. The leftmost pillar has a dark line running down its length. I need to find a fracture. North, west, obelisk. Fracture? Nope. It's not 3. West, the southern gateway. South. There's a massive fissure in this pentagonal pillar. Okay, so 4 is the first digit. 4, 1, 6, 3, 2. Probably. North. North. In. Forward. 41632. Set autopilot to 41632. You appear above a densely populated planet, Ulalume. At the center of the isolated worlds, Ulalume is as far from the Tavermilia plague as you can get. It's also incredibly rich, an irresistible target for an ambitious hacker. Someone hails you, not a security official. The transmission is silent. She's toying with you. The signal's point of origin is intentionally easy to track down. The night side of the planet, a major city, a building downtown. You take the Prospero in as fast as you can and come to rest heavily on the rooftop landing pad. Aft. Up. Landing pad. Violent argon lamps line all the streets, but do little to illuminate the city. The dark of night is preserved, cast in shades of ghostliness and secrecy. Even your ship looks like it belongs to someone else. A ramp leads down to the building's roof. Roof. Muffled music throbs underfoot. The rooftop entrance is a windowless door in a gleaming silver frame. A ramp leads back up to the landing pad. In. Lobby. A small but lavish room, lit dimly by silver sconces. A lavender rug leads from the roof deck door to an elevator. There's nobody else here. The elevator door is closed. Open elevator. Elevator doors don't have handles. Examine elevator. Your reflection examines you from the mirrored door. There's a button mounted on the wall nearby. Press button. Time passes. The elevator door opens. In. Elevator. You can see the dingy walls of the elevator shaft. The walls are glass. The door closes. It's transparent, too, and you can see the lobby clearly. The entire compartment must be made of one-way mirrors. At least the floor is carpeted. 2 buttons are mounted next to the door. A panel with 2 buttons, up and down. You press the down button. The elevator lurches and the walls of the shaft move up past you. Then you're floating in a huge room above a swarming sea of people. The music is deafening. Everything is lit up in ghostly violet. I should have worn my dark energy gear. A transparent elevator. There are 2 buttons mounted next to the door. The compartment floats down, and you can see them more clearly. People dancing, laughing, screaming. You sink through the crowd, through the floor. You descend into another chamber. The air is full of smoke. The music is no quieter. Now you can see through the haze. Humans are sprawled over velvet pillows, wearing expressions of vacant satisfaction. The compartment approaches the floor, and someone turns her head toward the elevator shaft. She stares at you, or past you. You descend into the floor, into the next chamber. Time passes. Strobing argon lights reveal flashes of dazed eyes, desperate smiles, naked flesh. The compartment sinks into a dark shaft, and you feel yourself slowing down. The door opens. Hallway. The marble walls are lined with curvaceous furniture. The only light is above the elevator door. Barely visible at the dark end of the hall is a door of brushed steel. Which do you mean, the brushed steel door or the elevator door? Very sturdy. The elevator door closes. You open the door. It closes itself with a loud thump. Enter brushed. Basement. Concrete walls and floor. A table and a chair. Examine table. A cheap folding table. A computer console sits on top. There's a message on the screen. Have a seat. You take a seat. The console flashes and words appear on the screen. Those are words, all right. Need a hint? Just press the button. A large button, like the ones you saw in the elevator, has been grafted onto the side of the monitor. I suspect that this is some form of cipher. So let's copy all of this, and let's go to a Rote 13 decryptor. Okay. Well, I was hoping it would be this simple, but I don't think that's the case. I am not familiar with most of these tools, so that really doesn't help very much. Replace. No. Where did we had Rote 13. Text bytes punched tape. Wow, this is quite the tool, but unfortunately it's not one I really know how to use. Okay. Alphabetical substitution. Let's see here. I do think it is going to be a substitution of some sort. So we're just going to go ahead and go through all of the substitutions I can think of. G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, T, Q, V, W, X, Y, Z. Well, that did not actually produce anything, so let's go back and hit our button. You push the button, then the text comes back slightly different. How so? X and C became X and X? Okay, so it does appear to be a substitution. So if we have X and C, oh, I'm deleting the ciphertext alphabet. I need to be okay. C in X, perhaps. Oh, that's just reversed. So what if we did this again? Well, it isn't just a mirroring. Hmm. Press button. Okay, so U becomes E. No, that I didn't do that right. U is E. C is X. U is E. Oh wait, I'm doing it backwards, I think. I need to reverse these two. Okay. Let's replace specifically vowels. A is O. O is A. We've got O, C, D, U, G, H, Y, J, K, L, M, N, A, P, Q, R, S, T, E, V, W, X, Y, Z. Except C is X. Let's make X into C. Well, actually, that's probably not right because maybe F is A. I think FOG might be agree. So oops, that didn't work the way it was supposed to. Here's where F is. Okay. And let's maintain case so that we can actually preserve the ones we know are right. We know C is right. We know E is right. Oh, that was not maintaining case in the way I thought it was going to. Is RT? Hmm. Let's try that. Let's make this T. So this becomes R. Actually, I don't know that that's C, but we do know that this X. So, what did I do wrong here? There's a T. Okay. So that isn't right. I've definitely got some incorrect things here. Hmm. Well, shoot, I am not quite the puzzle solver necessary to. Let's just try pushing the button again. Push button. Okay, S is C. Interesting. Okay. S. S is C. Okay. If I were. If I had more patience. Oh, I'm seeing a lot of U's at the end. I think U might be E. We already have that, though, yes? Yes. Could this be the IJ? Y should be T? So J should be H. No. No, that's not. T is O. T is O. I see that there are coordinates. I think that's what it is. The last line is coordinates. So this is the word one. What I have is the. So T becomes O, and O becomes T. H becomes N. N becomes H. H becomes I. And I becomes H. P becomes G. And G becomes P. P becomes H. H. H becomes P. And A becomes T. And T becomes A. Okay. 19683, I think, is going to be our coordinates. So V is U. And U becomes V. Z becomes M. M becomes Z. Keep. that keep, I think? L is probably K. K becomes L. J becomes P. P becomes J. Keep following me, Hunter. So Q is F. D is W, and vice versa. J is going to be A. And A becomes J. Their lives consist of nothing but satisfying their desires. So Y is going to be B. And B is Y. Q is D. And so the other D is Q. Their lives consist of nothing but satisfying their desires. After a while, it becomes difficult even to feel pleasure. Keep following me, Hunter. 19683. Okay. 19683. Success. Okay. Out. Push button. Wait. Who else is using the elevator? In. Push up. You press the up button, the door closes. The space outside the compartment is pitch black. The elevator ascends through the darkness. It's hard to tell if you're still moving. You're floating in empty space. You feel an unnerving sense of weightlessness. The elevator is slowing to a stop. The door opens. I guess I get out. Very plush, very clean rug. Let's go out again to the roof. Let's go up to the landing pad. Let's go in for... That was, once more, 19683. Set autopilot to 19683. The ship shoots up into the sky. Now the city is a grid of glowing streets. Now it's a single point of light. You turn toward the stars. The autopilot folds space once again, and you jump. You arrive in the middle of space. The Prospero turns around slowly, and a planet wreathed in dark smoke rises into view. The computer doesn't know what to call it. But there's something here. A ship. A single craft. And the ion trail is still fresh. She hasn't been here long. You steer the Prospero down into the atmosphere. The smoke thins to reveal a world of black rock and oozing lava. The air will be just barely breathable. But if she can handle it, so can you. You follow the ion trail to her ship and touch down right next to it. Let's go aft. Let's go starboard. Let's inventory. Put cold resistant gear in cabinet. You sit down and begin the laborious process of removing your armor. Then you hang it all back up in the cabinet. Then you sigh deeply. Look in cabinet. Wear dark energy suit. Put non-plusser on rack. I feel like the glaciator is not going to withstand the heat here. The non-plusser could work. The entangler is probably what we want. I have a feeling, though, that ultimately we're going to have to use the JWL in whatever circumstance we find ourselves. Take entangler out. Up. Smoky air from below is filling the hallways. Landing site. Black fields of serrated rocks surround your ship, streaked with rivers of lava. The hacker's ship is here, too. She can't have gotten far on this terrain, and the only navigable path lies to the northeast. Hacker's ship. The rusty death trap bears no identification. Enter Hacker's ship. It's locked up tight. You can force her to open it after you've apprehended her, if need be. Northeast. You trudge across the smoking landscape until you reach a rocky shelf. Ridge. You can see for miles. Volcanoes crowd the horizon, spewing smoke into the crimson sky, blotting out the stars. There she is, below you, scurrying to the bottom of the slope. She's gone, but you're close. Down. You step carefully down the jagged slope. Lava tube. You skid down into a circular shaft, like the path of an immense worm. Footsteps echo down the tunnel from the northwest. We go northwest. You follow the echoes down the shaft into the darkness. Trench. The tunnel opens. You're at the bottom of a steep crevasse. Something disappears over the top. Up. You grit your teeth and begin the climb of the rock wall. Outcropping. A narrow ledge on the slope of a volcano. A dark fissure slices through the mountainside to the north. She couldn't have gone anywhere else. Fissure. The tunnel is dark, but there's a faint glow ahead, a steady reddish gleam that tells you there must be a way outside. You crawl forward toward the light. At last you come out on the other side. Dead end. This is the bottom of a pit. There's no way out. She's here. She stands facing you, silent, unarmed. Her rusty black armor covers her face. We're done, you tell her, but she doesn't say anything. You fire the entangler. The nanotube shell connects with her chest and explodes into a web of nanotubes, but she doesn't react. You walk up to her. I've had it with your puzzles, you tell her, grabbing her shoulder. You're coming with me. But she doesn't respond, even when you yank her toward the tunnel. What game is she playing now? You reach for her helmet. It clatters to the ground. There's no one there. The armor is empty. Your nose is bleeding. You collapse. High above, the stars of the isolated worlds flicker and die. And at last, every planet falls at the feet of La Tavermilia. The end. Click here to continue. Fiona closes her notebook, and eerie silence fills the gallery. Then, slowly, the room fills with applause. Thank you so much for your kind attention, Grice says, smiling. Are there any questions? Someone stands up right away. Uh-oh. You say that whole story came to you in a dream? That's correct, says Fiona. The Querent sniffs. My dreams never make that much sense. Fiona shrugs off the insinuation. Dreams are inscrutable, she says. Someone else speaks up without standing. The whole thing sounded kind of familiar to me. This command prompts several murmurs of assent, and Grice purses her lips. Now I am looking over at you and raising my eyebrows significantly. I feel like I've heard some of those names before. We should try to change the subject, or let's stay out of it. Fine by me. You know, they used to have a moderator at these things. Where do you suppose he is? I know I've heard some of those names before, someone else offers. The planet Ulalume. Now Fiona is gritting her teeth. I'm afraid we need to clear the gallery, she calls out from the podium, cutting off several muttered discussions throughout the audience. Soon the next group will be here. What if we want to hear the story again? Asks that first person, still standing. Grice smiles and bows gently. Then you are welcome to stay. Everybody stands up. Let's get going. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Where should we go next? And here we have La Tavermilia, difficulty puzzleicious, length middling, completed. Nivo the Dolphin. Let's see. Sam J. Benjamin is presenting Nivo the Dolphin in the Mauve Room, which is somewhere over here. What's Sam like? I don't know Sam very well. Actually, I think this is Sam's first year at Castle Balderstone, which is a little ominous. Ominous? Maybe ominous isn't the right word, but you have to understand, this conclave we've got going here is 200 years old. I don't see what you mean. Well, it's... Hold on, let me make sure we're alone. Okay, it's like this. The Convocation at Castle Balderstone is a very old community. Communities, because they're supposed to be a source of stability, have a tendency to resist outside influences, and this tendency gets stronger over time. So very old communities don't like new people. Yeah, that's true, or that's an overgeneralization. Let's be contrary. That's an overgeneralization. Well, if you find a community that's completely friendly and welcoming to new folks, keep watching it for 200 years and see what happens. Anyway, I have no idea what Sam's deal is, but we'll find out as soon as we get to the mauve room. Is it down that staircase? What? No, it's somewhere on this floor, I'm pretty sure. Keep your eyes peeled for something mauve. What does mauve mean again? Mauve is like kind of a pale purple, but also kind of gray, I think. Do you have any idea where we're going? Yes, you don't have to keep asking me that. I know that the mauve room is on this floor, in this general area. Is that it over there? Hey, yeah, see? We found it. Good job. Thank you, and welcome, my esteemed guests, to the mauve room, one of Castle Balderstone's most fascinating obscurities. Though today all its furnishings are bedecked in mauve, from the canopied bed to the Venetian chest of drawers, the chamber's namesake is its infamous mauve wallpaper, designed in 1856 by the controversial psychological decorator Arvid Karlstad. The 24 mauve upholstered chairs must have been procured especially for this event, as I am almost positive they are not original to the room. The assemblage faces the bed, and the individual seated casually between canopy hangings must be Sam J. Benjamin. You and I find a pair of empty seats near the Venetian chest of drawers. The room is almost full. What's so infamous about this wallpaper? Ah, yes, the wallpaper. Take a close look, but not too close. Arvid Karlstad took a singularly scientific and somewhat mystical approach to interior design. He avowed that the patterns in this wallpaper possessed irresistible soporific properties, perfectly suited to the bedroom of an insomniac like Laura Balderstone. But the story goes that these walls have had additional, unintended effects on their occupants, and tales abound of the strange dreams and stranger awakenings that transpired within these walls. What kind of tales? In answer to this question, I can only sort of tilt my head back and glance around mysteriously. Is there something special about the drawers? I don't think so. They're from Venice. I assume it's hard to find mauve drawers. Is Sam supposed to be sitting on the bed? I don't know. It's a bold choice. It could be interpreted as disrespectful or overly casual, and Sam is in a delicate position with the broader Castle Balderstone community, as we've previously discussed. Is the story going to start anytime soon? I think perhaps it is, comes a voice from the edge of the canopied bed, responding to your indelicately phrased question. Good evening, colleagues. My name is Sam J. Benjamin, and this is my first time attending the festivities at Castle Balderstone. I'm deeply honored by the opportunity to present a story to you at this historic bicentennial convocation. Sam pauses, smiles, gestures helplessly and disarmingly. That's what I'm supposed to say, of course, but the fact is I really can't express what an honor it is just to be invited. There are so many great authors here, whose work I've admired for so many years, it's hard to convince myself that I belong here. I glance over at you. Ominous. But I'm here regardless, and I've been asked to present a story, so that's what I'll do. With that, Sam opens a notebook and begins to read. Nivo the Dolphin. Here is Sam Benjamin, who lives in Oakland, California, with the dumbest dog in the Western Hemisphere. Ryan Veeder presents Nivo the Dolphin, an undersea tale by Sam J. Benjamin. Release 1, serial number 221122, Inform 7 version 10.1.2, Vorpal version 3.2.5. A dolphin swims alone in the ocean. His name is Nivo. I'm going to save. This game auto-saves your progress, the broad strokes anyway, so there's no need to save the game manually, and in fact you are not allowed to save the game manually at all. Fair enough. This will be the point at which I stop for today, because this is, it took me longer to get through La Tavermilia than I expected. We shall reconvene hopefully next week for part 2 of perhaps 3 parts. We'll see. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will call it there.